Because in this affair, there are oysters and there are oysters. Those born in hatcheries, including the triploid, and those born in the wild. But in the stores, they are sold with no distinctive marking. There's no obligation to inform the public with a label. The triploid is not considered to be a new product or a GMO, and they taste great. We're in the town of Vélizy, in one of Europe's largest fish markets. It's 2 days before New Year's Eve, the busiest time of year for oysters. Kamel, the manager of this giant seafood market, is hard at work.
Load more shrimp for me there. Load more.
He pays attention to every small detail.
Can you straighten the price label? That one's falling.
Because the biggest proportion of his annual sales will occur during the last 15 days of the year, when 40 tons of oysters will be sold for over $280,000. But does the average customer really know what he's buying? Not always.
This is number 3.
Okay.
That's the number 2.
Okay. The 2 is more milky than the 3?
Milky? You said milky?
Yes.
That's only in the summertime, sir. You're maybe mixing up meaty with milky.
Meaty or milky? Number 2 or number 3? Normandy or Arcachon? Triploid or wild? It's impossible for the customer to figure out.
I don't know these. Maybe these are the ones on display. What's this mean? They have a gold medal.
These are flat with a gold medal 2014.
And so? There's a dozen?
About 1 dozen ballons.
Are these balloons?
They're ballons. You have the sanitary label here, and it shows the date they were packaged. The packaging date is very important. Why? Because it tells you when you can eat the oysters. The label always tells you the first 3 days following the packaging date. We call these first 3 days the saline flavor days because the oysters will still be filled with the seawater. And when you eat them, you will taste the flavor of the seawater and taste their freshness. An oyster is still good from the 4th day to the 9th day. We call these days the top flavor days. The oyster is the best then because it will have regenerated its own water inside. The oysters are excellent then. After day 9, you should check and verify if they're still alive. That's important.
These look pretty good.
For your average customer, they all look alike. Yet some people can find differences. How to identify an oyster through its flavor? That's the job of Bruno Gauvin, finest craftsman in France in fish and shellfish opening.
Today we're going to study how to open oysters, then a tasting.
Bruno gives an oyster class each week here on Rue Le Pic in Paris. But before tasting it, you must know how to open the oyster.
We are going to avoid using knives with the metal guard on them. Throw them in the garbage. They're of no use. They have a little metal guard. There is a specific way to hold your knife. We're going to hold it near the blade, far away from the handle, and closer to the point. And we aren't going to use a towel. The towel reduces dexterity and hinders your movement. Our goal is to find and cut the tendon. The tendon is located at about 2/3. First third, second third, and it's my left hand that does the work. My right hand is not forcing anything, and I'm going to touch the tendon here, and now I feel it release. And at this point, I place my left thumb like this, and it holds the oyster open. I don't move the knife too much, or else I'll break the oyster shell. And now, normally, my oyster's open.
I'm supposed to put it here.
Approximately.
It's not easy to do. Fantastic! I opened an oyster. I'll come to your house, Sabine, because I can't do it.
There, that's great. Move it about and push through.
Tonight I'm going to tease my man and tell him that I can open oysters too now. It's great. We'll just eat oysters between us ladies. We don't need the men anymore. It'll be better.
Moi, je la trouve.
I think it really caresses the palate.
Caresse le palais. Vraiment.
Between the salty and the sweet that you taste, then it's soft to chew. It's a delicious velour, chilly and fresh, going down your throat. And that's incredible.
C'est comme un vin. Hein,
It's like a wine. It depends on the year. There are crus, and that's extraordinary. There are 7 terroirs, 7 regions or terroirs, and they each give their unique flavor. But it's not frozen in time. That's what's extraordinary. And the oyster farmers are always working on their products and improving them. An oyster is happiness concentrated inside a little shell.
Une petite coquille. Là, je l'ai décollé.
But if we mention the triploid, there's a little unease.
Là, on comprend ce que c'est qu'une huître.
I've never really looked into that subject, and I don't know what consequences it could have on what product I like to eat.
That's not the subject of the class.
Yeah, that's it.
Today we're here to learn to open the oyster and to taste them.
What did you eat today? Do you know?
Non, on sait pas.
No, we don't know, but we have complete confidence in our oyster farmers.
Dans les producteurs, dans les ostréiculteurs.
C'est là, ouais.
A few hundred yards away, Florent, who produces oysters in the Mediterranean, brings his products to Guy Savoy, a 3-star chef. With him is his daughter Florie. They'll be presenting their 2014 harvest, the Tarborièche Specials, top-of-the-line triploids. They are among the highest-priced oysters in France, $6 a piece.
Let's see what's inside here.
Voilà.
Always that beautiful nacre.
A little white, nice and white.
Yes, white and a little pink.
It's beautiful, huh? The big muscle, always the same. And the taste, it's the chef who decides.
Qui décide. Là, t'as tous les goûts.
You have all of the flavors here. And the muscle. When you get to the muscle flavors the oyster. Beyond the consistency, we're really in what we imagine a protein to be. You bite into it, and it's meaty. And above all, there's a complexity. But it's a complexity that's also subtle. When you look at its case, at its nacre, and also the size of the muscle, you say, this little animal has had the good life.
At first, when I started selling to this market of restaurant chefs, and it's a very demanding market, I brought the finest Bézigue oysters I knew how to produce. The prettiest oysters made, with the greatest passion, but that was not enough. The demand was above what I was able to produce. That's where I got the idea to give them an environment that was a little more complicated, more difficult to master. And the Marais Solaire was born out of that.